Roxanne, which microphones are working?
Pardon? They're going to go to that one. Yeah, let me speak.
April the 7th, 2014, 9 o'clock, Board of Cosmetology meeting is called to order. We'll have roll call, starting with Ms. Bagger, but I would like to first... Barger. What did I say, Bagger? Sorry. I would first like to emphasize how important it is to lean into the microphone. If you saw the video last month and the month before, it wasn't being picked up. So even if you look kind of funny, lean into the microphone. And we'll start...
Kelly Barger, present.
Lisa Murray, present.
Marl Smith, present.
Donna Coppinger, present.
Linda Colley, present.
Judy McAllister, present.
Rufus Hereford, present.
Earl Walker Ali, present.
Thank you. I'd like to have one representative from each school please stand. Okay.
George Samsel, Tennessee School of Beauty, Knoxville.
Tennessee School of Beauty, Knoxville. Columbia, Tennessee, Tennessee Career Institute. White House High School. Thank you. Welcome. Okay, in front of you we have the February and March minutes. Let's first discuss the February minutes. Is there any discussion on the February minutes? If no discussion, do I hear a motion?
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister that we approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. February has been approved. Now let's move to the March minutes. Any discussion on the March minutes?
We missed you.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to be here. Any discussion? If not, do I hear a motion we accept?
Make the motion we accept.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Walker that we accept the March minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. We're passing around for everyone to sign on the February and March minutes that they have been approved.
On the March minutes,
Yes.
my name's not on there, just sign it like anywhere.
Yes, please, I'll have to add, it's not at the bottom of the sheet.
No?
If you'll do a line and add your name, Ms. Coppinger, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
I'm not sure what I did. No, I remember March. That was an interesting meeting.
That was an interesting meeting. Oh, it's on the next page. I'm sorry.
44.
You and I both are there.
Oh,
Just a minute.
there's 2 pages and we just got the one.
Yeah, I'll get it. I'll get it. Just a minute.
I'll wipe it out of that one.
Is there a representative from the legislative session?
Not at this moment, Madam Chair. What we'll do is Denise was unable to make it. Either Rachel or Mary Beth will be here to fill us in. So we're going to move on, and as soon as we see them come in, kind of interrupt and let them represent, if that's okay with the
Thank
board.
you.
Okay, thank you.
I'll turn this over to you for applications for examination.
Thank you. The first thing we'd like to do, since the March meeting was a little bit different, we didn't do it during March, but pursuant to TCA 62-4-106, we need to elect a chair and a vice chair for the meetings that we're holding for 2014. If we could go ahead and have a motion to elect the chair and then the vice chair as well.
I make a motion that we repeat the person that's already in the chair, please.
We have a motion from Mr. Herford to repeat the current chairman, which would be Ms. Linda Colley as a chairman. And would you like to make a motion for the vice chair as well?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion for Ms. Nina Carpenter.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Okay. First then, next on our agenda is.
Ms. Roxana?
Yes.
Rachel just wanted.
Vote on this?
Oh, I'm sorry. And we need to vote on the electing of chair and vice chair, please.
There's been a motion by Mr. Herford that the chair and vice chair remain the same, Linda Colley and Nina Carpenter, seconded by Ms. Smith. Do I hear all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes carried. Thank you.
Thank you. And we will go ahead then with the legislative updates, and substituting for Denise Lawrence will be Rachel Powers.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize in advance for my voice. I've been a little under the weather, so if I have to stop, just bear with me. We have just some updates for you, really, and Denise is out sick today. I think she's got the same thing I had last week, so apologize for that. The merger bill, which combines the cosmetology and barber boards that you all have previously been advised about, has passed in the Senate and will be heard on Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the House Finance Committee. In addition, the two authorization bills, there were two pieces to it. This is the bill that allows schools to be authorized to receive Title IV funding from the Federal Department of Education. It's being moved in two different bills. One is for the Board of Cosmetology and the Board of Barber Examiners to be allowed to authorize them as post-secondary schools, and the other one is basically a fallback bill that allows the Tennessee Higher Education Commission to authorize these schools to authorize these to receive Title IV funding should the feds decide that the Barber and Cosmetology Board's authorization not be deemed sufficient. And those are in calendar and rules and should be heard Tuesday afternoon at 3. The THEC piece of it is HB 1285, which is if the feds decide to not allow the Board of Cosmetology and the Board of Barber Examiners to be authorization, and the Title 62 piece, which changes your code, is House Bill 1138. And I believe that's it. I think last month Denise updated you that the other bills have either not gone through the proper committees or failed for vote. So does anybody have any questions for me today? It's
Thank
very
you.
good to see you all.
Hope you
Good
feel
to
better.
see you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. And Board, if we can, Representative, well, actually, lobbyist Mike Agee has come in front of the board the last few meetings to give a quick update as well. If you have a few minutes, I told him that he could do the same at this meeting. Mike, go ahead.
Good morning, Mike Agee, representing the Tennessee Association of Beauty Professionals, and Rachel did a really good job. That is the status of what's going on. The merger bill is number 11 on the calendar on Tuesday, so there should be no problem getting to the bill. I talked to the sponsor, Judd Matheny, Thursday. He assured me that he would be there to get this bill moved out. It should go straight to calendar on the House floor, hopefully as early as this Thursday. It could be next week, which is their wind-down week. They are determined to get out of here next week. And she gave you the status of the Title IV bills, and I was hoping to get them out of calendar rules last week. They were number 61 and 62 on the calendar, and they got into long debates on two other bills, and when they got to 54, they had to adjourn. So that rolled them into this week, but they should be no problem getting them onto the House floor this week as well. All the other bills, as they said, have been defeated this year or taken off notice. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about apprenticeships this next summer because of 3 different pieces of legislation that were filed, both dealing with cosmetology and barbering schools. The continuing education bill was taken off notice, so that did not move this year. So that's pretty much where we are. The only 2 things left are the merger bill and the Title IV bills, and hopefully they will clear out this week. I would be glad to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Agee.
Next is our applications for examination on your iPads. They start on page 3. Applications for Jamie Baudry, Dion Brown, Melissa Dawn Christmas, Kimberly Edmiston, Jennifer Strong, Brandy Welker, and Kate Williams. All have felonies. These have submitted for the board's approval. The required information is on your iPads, disclosure from the student, and a letter of recommendation. When you've had a chance to review, we will need a motion and a second to approve once the consent order agreement is signed and returned to the office.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept with the signed agreed order.
I'll second.
Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger and seconded by Ms. Smith that we approve with a signed degree order. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next, in the miscellaneous section, we have first on our list, a request for a workshop approval. Appearing before the board is Ms. Eleanor Dorch Warwood. If you could come on up to the podium. This morning, she has provided for us a pamphlet. You should all have this near your desks in your area. This is what was brought in for you to take a look at. And also on your iPads is information regarding the content of the 2-day course, the agenda that she offers. She is interested in participating in the 2014 instructor seminars and is available for any questions you might have regarding her curriculum and plans. So I will let you take a minute to look at what she has presented, and if you speak, make sure that the red light comes on. You can just press the button.
What was her name again? I'm sorry.
Yes, her name is Eleanor Dorch Warwood. And I've mispronounced it possibly.
No, you did fine.
Thank you.
It's a very long name, but yes, it's Eleanor Dorch Warwood.
This is a 16-hour course.
Yes, it is.
Morning.
Good morning.
As we're looking this over, could you go ahead and explain how you decided to do this? And I just wanted to make sure you are familiar with our rules for the teacher training programs and everything that we are required to have. Okay.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to come and present to you the Beyond Beauty Group and what we have to offer when it comes to training, and wanting to go through this process of getting the course approved for continuing education for instructors. This particular course I have offered before, but for salon owners and stylists. And I've done some training with, well, through state board, through the University of Memphis for continuing education for 2 years. And I thought it would be a really great idea to also bring it before you, since I've had requests for this particular training to be considered for continuing education credits. So I'm really excited about the opportunity. The training itself is great in terms of helping educators to understand. Checking the pulse is helping to understand where you are in your career. Just like I think maybe on one of the documents that you do have, it's kind of like going to a physician and doing a physical or having an annual exam, and that annual exam is going to determine basically from the questionnaire what symptoms you may have, what are the things that you're going through, and then maybe some remedies. So it's the same concept for this particular training when it comes to education. Where are you in terms of your education? How do you feel about it? Check the pulse on it. Is your education in terms of your career, is it dead? Is it barely thriving? So the goal for this is to just kind of get the instructors to understand how on a continuous basis you need to check some things. Where are you in terms of reaching your students, providing the best education possible? And all of that is on that curriculum that's included in your packet. I've also included in there as well some of the presenters or trainers and their information, as well as the proposed dates and times.
Do you think in the course of 2 days that you'll be able to cover all these topics?
Actually, yes. If you notice on the side, I've kind of put in parentheses how long each of those would take in the 2 days. Like some of the material would only take 1.5 hours, some only 30 minutes. So I've broken it down for each basically module, so to speak, how long that would take for it to be presented. The participants will also walk away with information, even if there are some things that may have needed to be covered in depth. They will also have access to information through our website and hand out materials for them to look over. But we will be able to cover all of those topics in a timely fashion.
So you have several proposed dates, correct?
Yes, I do.
So do you have an idea of what your minimum and maximum attendance would be?
Well, I would say minimum would be, based on the locations, I would say the minimum would be 100. Well, actually, the maximum can be 100, up to 200, depending on the actual location. But to keep, based on the number of presenters is what I'm looking at. Based on the number of presenters, that also ties into the number of participants. So with that being said, as far as how I've presented for the board with the University of Memphis, of course, there have been as many as 250 participants at one time. And I think with the number of presenters that I have, I could handle that amount or less.
I'm just thinking, this may not be the correct thought process, but I'm thinking as we're getting more and more seminars,
Yes.
that there are going to be less and less people going, because there's more to choose from. So I was wondering, if you had 30 people sign up, are you going to go ahead and have the seminar?
Absolutely, yes. And those adjustments would be made based on however many participants, how many trainees I have registered for the course. But the salon boot camp training class that I've done in the past, I've had about that many or less. So those adjustments are easily made.
But when we approved previously a different program, what we did was we sent a board member to that particular seminar, the first one, to see if they'd come back and report and okay to approve the other ones they were going to have. So we sent someone for the first one just to verify that it was acceptable. And I just wanted to make sure everyone realized what we did before.
Thank you.
Any comments, any questions?
Well, our board member would be Miss Pearl Walker-Ali, because she's one of the presenters and listed. So she would be the one that we could ask for the Memphis seminar. Ooh, it's coming up soon, May the 11th and 12th.
Well, these proposed dates, when I spoke with Roxana before, was that you all had already selected for 2014, so these proposed dates are for 2015, actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is 2015.
That's not to say that if she can squeeze a date in, as long as it doesn't clash with the dates already given to other seminars, we could definitely have one for 2014 if you all want to do like we did with the previous session and send someone to view one of their sessions and then approve the dates for 2015. That's definitely a possibility.
I personally would feel more comfortable if we did it the way we did it before.
Absolutely.
I hate to okay something I haven't seen, or someone hasn't seen.
Well, at this point, what we're saying we'll do if we continue to be consistent with what we did before, we would approve the May 11th and 12th, 2015 seminar and have a report back as to how successful and, make sure it's pertinent and successful for our instructors, and then we could go forward from there. So, we don't have anything before us, so.
Unless you could come up with a date for 2014, otherwise we would have to wait until.
Okay, if I'm understanding you correctly, if I had a seminar at this point, let's say if I did have one in May, that would be the one that you would send a representative to basically observe and then be approved possibly for 2015, is what you're saying, correct?
But we would have to know the date so it could be
Okay.
approved by the board and send Ms. Walker Ali.
Okay,
Yeah, you'd have to come back before us and present a 2014 date, because right now we're looking at only 2015 dates.
gotcha, okay.
And May would be very, very quickly. It could be a date as far as maybe July or August or September. That would give you time to get, if it's approved and we've got someone going, it would give you plenty of time to get the list of names that we currently have with instructors and do your mailing and your marketing. So September or October would possibly work really well as well.
So if I could have a date for July or August, would that work
If
for
you
2014?
Present it to us, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
But it can't conflict with the other seminars.
Correct, that's what we had discussed. And I don't have a problem if we've got the date, presenting it at the May meeting or our next meeting in May, and so we can vote, and then you wouldn't have to appear unless you want to come back. But that way we'll send a tentative date for Ms. Walker Ali to be able to go and participate.
Awesome, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Next, we have, also possibly appearing before the board, is Mr. Matthew Palin here? Come on in. On your iPads, you have information regarding Regency Beauty Institute. Before you is Mr. Matthew Palin. He's Director Regulatory Affairs for Regency Beauty Institute Corporate. He's appearing before the board with revised curriculum and the program schedule structure for the Chattanooga, Knoxville, Madison, and Nashville schools. The information will be added to the school's licensing file. He's here if you've got any questions. This is regarding just a change in their curriculum and the way they're structuring their hours in their schools.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Morning.
Can you tell us what page that would be on?
Yes. You are on page, 38.
Good morning. Since you did come before us, can you go ahead and explain what we're trying to consume right now?
Sure. So we have 4 schools here in Tennessee, and they've been in operation since 2008. And over the past year, we've basically gone back and kind of discussed with our current students and our graduates and salons in the industry and try to figure out, where exactly we see the cosmetology profession going. And one of the things that we discovered is that the way our program is currently set up is we have a 8-week workshop program where basically students are given an introduction to all the various topics that will be covered in the program. And also during that time, students are presented with the number of practical services requirements that they need to complete throughout the program. And one of the things that we discovered is that these numbers and the requirements can be daunting from some students, and they feel the pressure to complete all these services within the 1,500-hour program. And so what we found is that students, and we've already piloted this in one school in Minnesota, but that by reorganizing the program into 12 individual 4-week courses, that students can be more focused on, completing 24 service requirements rather than, being, inundated with 280 practical service requirements. And so what we've done is we've reorganized all of our material, and we've put it into what we call a film book. And it's basically an iPad, and it has an e-textbook that we designed, and it has instructional videos and illustrations and everything all integrated into it. And so our plan is basically to have these students come in, and they'll be basically like one cohort, so there'll be a class of students rather than just being, you have students coming in at various points in the program now. And so we hope that by organizing everything into a class structure, that the students will be able to help each other work through the program, and that's basically what we're trying to do here.
If I'm understanding correctly, none of the curriculum has changed. It's just the way it's presented has been changed.
That's correct. I mean, we're basically taking our approved program and we're reorganizing and restructuring it, and then we've developed our own textbook basically to coincide with how we're laying out the structure of the program.
You say you've tried this where? What state?
In Minnesota, we've already piloted this in one state because, in addition to just the organizational piece, there's also a technology piece to integrate all the iPads and all the materials. So we have to test out both the concept and the infrastructure as well.
How long has that been in progress?
3 months.
3 months?
And we'd be looking to roll this out sometime this summer. So, maybe 4 months down the road here in Tennessee.
So you'll still be using the books that you were using, you just have a new book that you're adding to it? Is that?
Well, we use Milady right now, and that would be basically a resource material, so it would be in our library, but that would not be our primary curriculum going forward. Our academic team has basically gone and created our own textbook. So it's a Regency-specific textbook designed for our program.
Same concept as far as anatomy and sterilization, sanitation?
That's correct, yes.
How many weeks does it take for one of these, I'm going to call them modules? For example, hair design, how many weeks would that design take?
So each course is 4 weeks long.
4?
Yes. And then basically each of those weeks is one class. So it's set up so the student completes one class, and then there's a test at the end of that class. So you have 48 classes in the program, 12 courses.
And when you enroll your students, do they start at whichever module is available, or do they all start at a certain place and move through? How does that work?
Yep. So in the new program that we're designing, everybody will start at course 1, and it's designed to be progressive. So rather than giving students, basically an overview of cosmetology in the first 2 courses, they actually start very specifically, and they just learn like one service, and they build progressively throughout the program. So even if the student restarts in the program, rather than just coming into whatever course the school happens to be in, this program is designed so that if they restart, they come back exactly where they left off in the program. So we make sure that, they don't jump around within the program.
Any discussion?
Well, I'm just looking at the laws, and under curriculum, just to make, and I don't have any problem with it, as long as it still covers our 1,500 hour curriculum with a general, chemical, and physical categories and hours. that are required. It sounds like that you're meeting the requirements according to our law. You're just presenting it in a more organized, and I can see that that would benefit students, that you would present it in more organized segments. Same, right?
You got it broken down here.
I tried to break everything down, make it clear for you guys.
We need things broken down, trust me.
Never be too clear.
Any discussion or questions?
I have a question. So, for instance, if a student did the hair cutting module and their hair design in the very first month, how do you go about reviewing? You know, if they get to the end of the 12 months and they did the hair design in the very first.
So the way the program is designed is that a student can't progress in the program until they've met that class requirement and the course requirements. So if a student got to the end of course 1 and they, say, for example, didn't have sufficient hours, if it was, I mean, I don't want to get too technical here, but so if a student has less than 100 hours in a course and it's designed that they have to have 125, they get placed on basically probation. So they have to use makeup hours to catch up for course 1, but we allow them to proceed into course 2. And so you can never get more than 2 courses behind. So if a student was behind in course 1 and they went into course 2 and they did not finish their materials in course 2, they would be terminated from the program. So basically you can use makeup time to catch up on one course's requirements, but you can't advance any further in the program. So you would never get to course 12 and have to look back. So you would always know where a student was and that they're making progress through the program.
Okay, thank you for that. I guess my question is, now, once they move on from hair design and they have completed their required hours, do they look back on that and practice that before they graduate?
Absolutely. If you look, for example, I don't know what pages you have there, but if you go to the practical service requirements, which is Appendix 1 in either the student catalog or the program outline,
On
you can
page
see
44.
you can see that they have practical service requirements that they need to satisfy throughout the program. So example, hairstyles, they have 147 hairstyles they would have to complete throughout the courses, and they need to do those within the number of that specific course. So for example, in course 4, a student would not be able to complete that course until they had completed satisfactorily at least 12 hairstyles, for example.
Once they're trained in a particular service, they're practicing that on the floor.
That's correct. For example, you wouldn't get to hair coloring. You wouldn't do any hair coloring services in the first 2 courses because you haven't had that class yet. So it's designed to be progressive. So when you have a course, for example, on hair coloring, you'll have more practical services, obviously, that month to address that service. And so it's all kind of designed to be cohesive in that way.
So they have clinic hours along with these?
That's correct.
Okay, that answers my question.
Yes.
And I notice on here that shampoo, scalp treatment, and sanitation is with every course.
That's correct. And laws and rules as well, so.
Yeah.
Very detailed.
So, sir, are you basically setting up a boarding school here?
I wouldn't want to say that, no.
Well, it looks like to me. I'm just wondering.
We want to try to help and nurture our students through the program, and we think a little more structure might be helpful for them.
Well, if you've got schools in your territory or area, it seems like there's a conflict to me with schools that are already enrolled in other schools. Or I'm missing something.
Sorry, I don't think I'm following.
I'm not sure I'm following you. I'm asking the question, let's just say I have a school, which I do, and you have these courses in Chattanooga, Nashville, et cetera, and you appeal to my student one way or the other, and they are already enrolled in my school, does it interfere with my school?
Oh, will we be competing for your students? Is that
Yes.
what you're asking me? The way our program is set up right now, we don't have anything set up for transfer students. If you actually look in the student catalog, it says we're not admitting transfer students at this time.
Any more discussion? If
I like
not,
the mock state board that you have listed. I'd like to see that.
Like to see it?
is there a motion or discussion? Any more discussion?
What will happen with this information, again, it's because it's a significant change to the way they're structured. It doesn't need approval per se, it's information to share with everyone, and then it'll go on their license file as we haven't discussed it. I would like in the near future to be able to post online some type of breakdown of schools' hours or structure of hours, something like that for the public to know when they're looking at schools. But for now, that information will go into their license file within the board. And
So we do not need a motion, is that what you're
no,
saying?
it's just information because
Okay.
it is a significant change that if you all had questions, I definitely wanted it addressed. But otherwise, they're still teaching the same structure of hours. They're staying within all the lines that the law requires. I just wanted us to all make sure everything was answered.
And you covered in detail. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you very much. We are now on page 45. Rasco Radiant Academy, located in Covington, Tennessee, plans to add the manicuring curriculum to its course of study. Provided is a letter explaining their plans, names of staff involvement, and the breakdown of the curriculum to be used. The information here as well will be added to the licensing file. They were not going to appear, but if you have any questions, I can make sure that they answer them. They're simply adding that curriculum.
It looks as though they have followed all of the guidelines that the cosmetology law book has covered.
I have an observation. I inspected this school last year, and at that time, they did have the area set up for the manicuring, but they didn't have any manicuring students, and you know, this property is commingled with a salon. So off from the manicuring area, there is a door where you could go around and access the salon. So could you just get a clarification on that and make sure that there won't be any entry from that manicuring area into the salon area? It is very remote with respect to the school, but with respect to where the manicuring area and the front desk are set up, it is just around the corner from that area.
Let me make sure I've got this correct. We want clarification that the manicuring area is going to be separate from the salon.
Correct.
Okay, absolutely.
Via that door.
That sounds great.
Any discussion on what they have applied for in front of us today, or do I hear a motion?
And again, with them adding the curriculum, we'll add that to their file. When we do the audit for this particular year of their files, we'll make sure that all that has been met as well, and then I will send them a letter just double checking that they're able to separate that area by that door.
They have to be inspected again to
No,
add?
not to
No,
add.
not by us, but when we do our regular inspection for this year, we'll make sure that everything's being met.
I hear a motion, we accept their
Madam Chairman,
curriculum.
I'll make the motion that we okay this with the stipulation that that's checked out.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Motion made by Ms. Smith, seconded by Ms. Walker Ali, that we accept the new curriculum. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Thank you. Next on your iPads, we are on page 53. This is an information piece for everyone. Vatterott Career College, this is the one located in Appling Farms Parkway in Memphis, Tennessee. They are planning on discontinuing the cosmetology program effective December 2014. Documents are provided that include a letter that was sent to all students in February. They expect all current students enrolled to graduate and complete the program before the end of the year.
They're doing away with the cosmetology portion?
That is correct.
Does that mean they're closing their doors, or?
No, I believe they've got other programs there. It's just the cosmetology.
This is just information then?
That is correct.
Okay.
Next, if we don't have any other questions to get to Vatterott Career College, the next on our iPads is, we are on page 56. Ms. Julia Moran, if you could come on up. She is here in front of the board. On your iPads, we have the recent letter that she has submitted. She is requesting an extension for her continuing education instructor license. Her license expired in February 28th of 2014. She was not able to attend an earlier seminar due to her father's illness and passing. The board approved the extension at the March 3rd meeting, expressing that she needed to attend the April session. Her letter explains that she was not able to get a refund for the April session from Expertise, and I believe an email correspondence there is as well, kind of explaining Expertise's point of view, and that financially she was just not able to get the money to attend the April session so quickly. Her request is for an extension until the June seminar, where she would be able to participate in Nashville and incur much lower expenses. If she's available, if you have any other questions for her.
So you enrolled in the class and then was not able to make it, is that correct?
The February one, ma'am.
And how much notice did you have at all that you could not make it?
Well, I was out of town at the time of the seminar took place, so I could not physically make that seminar, so I could not attend. So there was no cancellation on my part. I just was out of town and I could not attend that particular seminar that I had registered for. And so I had expected, and thank you for approving my first request, but I was expecting some sort of refund because normally a cancellation fee or a no-show fee along that line doesn't cost 100% of the registration fee. You normally get something back. I was getting nothing back then to register for the next seminar, which you had approved me to attend. in which I did the cost of, and that was going to be in Memphis. And the cost was going to be just over $650 with the hotel, because I could not drive that for those 2 days. Does that answer your question, madam?
And you live where?
I live in Murfreesboro.
Okay, here. And were you out of town because of your father?
Yes, ma'am. Hospice called the family in that particular weekend of his critical time, and that's why I did not show. at
Probably
that-
were not even thinking about the program.
I really wasn't. Thank you.
Any more discussion or
Well-
questions?
Actually, I was hoping that I would get a refund because I knew I needed to get these CEUs under my belt, and I had several pieces of correspondence with expertise telling them how unreasonable I thought their no refund cancellation policy was. But nevertheless, it was only after I had sent the correspondence to Ms. Camuccio that they had allotted me $50 towards the next registration for the upcoming seminar in Memphis, which totaled about $700. And that was just no way. I hadn't worked in a year. There was no way that was going to happen. I couldn't afford that.
You work on a regular basis?
Not right now, ma'am.
Full-time?
Not right now, I do not.
How long has it been?
It's been a year. My last teaching position ended in March of last year, and that is when my father came down with cancer treatments. And so it's been a long year of blessing, but my family took precedence over the teaching. Since they're out of state, I was driving quite a bit.
And expertise counseling has a no refund.
Yes, ma'am.
Come,
Well, after a certain date.
and you missed that date.
I did. Yes.
So what you're requesting is that we extend your qualification till June, is that correct?
That is correct. In June, there is a seminar here in Nashville, so she'd be staying locally and have the savings of not having to pay for the transportation, the hotel stay, and so forth.
And I could be driving that. That's not a problem. I would drive back and forth every day.
Madam Chairman, one time, I make a motion that we grant her this for, and go to the June seminar.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Smith, seconded by Ms. Coppinger, that we extend yours to the June seminar here in Nashville. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, on page 60, we start with the field trip requests. This is the new form that's provided before your review. These are the forms that we approved at the February 3rd meeting. The fillable form is available on our website. We've been educating the schools as they send in their typical email or fax that come with information, sometimes too much, sometimes not enough. They've been doing pretty well. I believe we've got a total of 11 sheets in front of you. Each school will be emailing these back to us when they complete them, and you can go through them. All the necessary information we decided we needed is on each one. Some of them are still handwritten, however, most of them are typed in. What our plan is to mark approve at the bottom checkbox and mail that exact form to each school. The plus side is they'll know exactly what they submitted, what we're talking about. We don't have to do a separate letter and put it in the mail. We're corresponding very quickly with them by email. Then this exact document will go in their license file as well. If we ever want to review ours and do an audit, again, this will be right there. And so it really expedites the process for us. The schools have handled it very well. Those that sometimes forget to complete it might send it blank. I think we've actually got a blank one there, but it's gone real well. I have a feeling a couple of schools missed our response, which was please go online and fill it out. So when they don't hear back from the meeting today, they'll know to submit that. So our numbers will increase a little bit, but I'd love your input if you think that this is going to work well. Our plan with Betty is as the meeting progresses, she will mark the checkbox here, and they're going straight in email today and out. So they'll get them in less than 1 day versus the week that it was taking, so.
Are we going to do these one at a time or take them all?
If you've got questions, you'll let me know, and we
Okay.
will change on that specific form. Otherwise, like we did before, we can, at the very end, do a motion to accept them all in a second. And if you've got questions on any one of them, Betty and I will mark and send a different letter if that's the case.
All of these getting in time prior to the date they're requesting.
They should be, and if
Okay.
not, at the very bottom, we left that
Okay.
box for them to explain why they're behind. There'll always be those situations where something really wonderful was presented at the last minute to them, and I don't want them to not submit those if it's a charitable thing, something really special. But as we're having more and more conversations with the school, I'm explaining the importance of them submitting them as early as possible.
I think this is a great form, and it just makes it more clear to us, especially like how many hours they're requesting.
Yeah, we couldn't agree with you more.
We might need to, Madam Chairman, we might need to go over the one from the KI Academy from Henderson, and it's to the courthouse for a civil suit.
Correct, and
Involving a cosmetologist.
it's a very
Yeah.
different type of presentation. They were hesitant on sending it because, as we all know, with court things, they can change at the last minute. And so I explained that we would understand. They're just going to keep an eye on this particular case and go whenever the case is being held. So it's a very unique situation that they're going to be able to go watch.
The field that asks for a number of participants, is that mandatory? Because it's blank on here.
If they're filling it out online, it is. If they simply print it in handwriting, of course, it wouldn't force them, but it is something we need them to give us. In the past, they usually didn't give it to us at all. I think we're going to give them more and more feedback to make sure they understand how important it is that we know 10 people are going versus 35. That helps us on our hourly report that we get around the 10th. So, yeah, that's why we put it in. We really do want it.
Okay.
I'd like to attend this court.
Yeah, yeah. And they're one of the schools that didn't fill it out. I think their thought, and she and I spoke on the phone because she was so iffy to send this, not knowing what would happen to the court date. And I said, we will all understand that. Same thing with the number of participants, depending on if the case is moved one way or the other. However many students were going to be there that day is what they're taking.
Are there any more questions or discussions on the field trips? If not, do I hear a motion that we accept?
I move that we accept.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Walker Ali, seconded by Ms. Coppinger. We accept. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
2 of your iPads, and moving on to the application for reciprocity. The first thing I'd like to discuss is the Texas situation. In February, we discussed applications for reciprocity from our Texas applicants. We received an update. Their investigators are working to resolve this issue. They plan on updating us along the way. They know the importance of getting this done quickly. Their board office has told us that the lead investigator in Texas is making this a priority, as has their commissioner, and they're looking at it from all areas. What that means is that currently we have 79 applicants from Texas who are waiting the reciprocity application. Given that situation, the board office is requesting that the board give the executive director, give me authority to mail a letter to each of these applicants. The letter will be explaining the temporary suspension of reciprocity from Texas. It would also open the possibility if these applicants want to test, because remember that all of these applicants right now have a current active license in Texas and also have school information from Texas, so we know, at least from the certification, that they've attended the right number of schools. So many of them might decide to take the Tennessee examination if we process them that way. So my proposal would be to send them a letter explaining the situation of the suspension for reciprocity temporarily, give them the option to apply and complete the paperwork to be allowed to test in Tennessee, and then at least give that option to the applicants that we're holding. If you've got any other questions for Rob or I to answer, later in the reciprocity names one particular candidate did reach out to me and actually say, I just need to work, so I'll test, I'll do anything. So we'll deal with her because she directly contacted me. But this would be your approval or however we decide for a letter to go out to the 79 candidates and any that we keep receiving until the issue is resolved and we can present whatever the conclusion was from Texas.
Well, it'd be I feel the thing we should do, because it's not these 79 people's problem, it's Texas' problem.
We're sure that they did attend school and they have the hours, but we're not sure that they tested legitimately, or is that what it is?
I don't know that we're sure of any of it, other than the hours are reported to Texas. Texas is certifying the hours to the best that they can. They're looking at that as well. And so at this point, no, I couldn't guarantee any of it. But the drawback with not giving them the option to even test is we're holding them all back for possibly a long time.
We do have proof, according to Texas, that they have the hours in. We just don't know about the schools that sent it to the board.
Correct.
So if they can pass our test,
Correct.
I would assume they had gotten their hours somewhere. Maybe not as many as they needed, but somewhere. That's just my thoughts.
Right. And when they complete the application, at the end of our meeting, you will see the new form that applicants will need to comply with to test. We've changed that, and so we'll deal with that, but that would be the application that these individuals will have to fill out. So we're not just going to take their reciprocity application. It is going to be a letter from me stating this is what's going on. You have the option to test in Tennessee, in which case, here's what you complete. And on that form, we need a transcript from the school they attended. So then our office would have that as well. We will vet it as best we can. And move forward. Again, as now it's 79, but that number is increasing, and at least then we're doing something proactively to move some of those.
I make the motion we approve for you to send the letter.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Mr. Herford, that we, Ms. Roxana send a letter to these 79 or whoever others may be applying, that they take the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Just to add to that letter, my plan is to have legal review the letter, and then as applicants submit their application, that letter will go out immediately so that they don't need to be delayed any further. And then at each meeting, I will update you if we've got any other updates from Texas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our iPads is Miss Melanie Stellins. Ms. Stellins, if you could come up front. She's appearing before the board. On your iPad, she is on page 72. She is requesting permission to take the Tennessee Cosmetology examination. I will let her explain some of her unique situation. She is licensed in Tennessee as a master barber through Reciprocity from Florida when she completed her hours in 1995. Along on your iPads is a letter from Sun State Academy explaining the hours. Then the attendance is also there. And currently, she does not have a cosmetology license in Florida. She just has a master barber. And so she'll be happy to kind of go over that. The curriculum that is included from the school, again, we're talking many, many years ago, does show hours that are partially cosmetology, partially barber, and so she's happy to answer any questions you have. Again, her request isn't for reciprocity per se, it's to be allowed to test in cosmetology. Go right ahead.
No cosmetology hours in school, only those that can be transferred from barber to.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am?
Hi, good morning. Thank you.
State your name, please.
Melanie Stallings. And I originally applied before I moved up here 2 years ago, and I'd actually been given a temporary cosmetology license from Florida. That's before Roxana Gamuccio had been here. And I had called back and said that I was a licensed barber, and so they changed that. So I was given a temporary to start working in Tennessee.
Temporary barber?
A temporary cosmetology license.
From where?
Tennessee. I have it here.
I believe that was issued by mistake. They meant to issue a barber license, and the application, again, probably was confusing and reflected both sets of hours to some extent. So she did correct the board office. The cosmetology license does not exist anymore, just her master barber.
Okay.
That is correct. I am, actually, at the time, I have not worked since I've been here in Tennessee. I have kept up with classes, and I've also taken some, I just recently, a couple weeks ago, through Supercuts, have taken some Paul Mitchell color classes. I am in the beginning stages with my business partner to open 3 Supercut franchises here in the greater Nashville area, and I have gone to some of the schools. What my goal is I'm planning to manage the original Supercuts, which we are about to finish with our lease, which will be in Franklin, Tennessee. And that is where our first store will open. I would like to manage both the cosmetology and the master barber side, because I would like to hire from both, because they both obtain such wonderful skills. I did go through school, and I have worked for the last 17 years in Tampa, Florida, and I always worked in the high-end cosmetology. I never worked in a barber salon. However, I did use my sorry about that. Shear over comb and all my techniques, and I have done straight razor shaving, but most of my experience in the last 17 years has been as a cosmetologist. I did not have a licensed cosmetology, but I did the 1,200 hours, and I've done 17 years in a high-end salon.
So you were working in Florida
I was, yes, ma'am. For the
as a
last-
cosmetologist with a barber's license?
Correct, yes, ma'am. I worked in a high-end salon doing coloring, shampooing, scalp treatments, waxing. I did everything but nails, and back in '95, when I took the course, that was the one piece I did not want to do, was the manicure and pedicure. And at the time, Sun State Academy, which was at the time the umbrella school for professional hair design in Clearwater, which has since merged, I did get my licensed barber, but I did all the cosmetology thing, excluding the hours of nails, because that's not what I wanted to do. And Supercuts will not be doing nails at all. They will do, mostly they do hair cutting, shampooing, waxing, and coloring. And that is all. And scalp treatments.
You're requesting to fill out the application to test and take the Tennessee State Board Cosmetology.
Yes, that's what Roxana had preferred. I was hoping to use my past years of experience to get reciprocity.
The problem with the reciprocity rule is that her license is a barber license, so it would not be able to come in through reciprocity because of that. Even the experience, even though it was in a cosmetology shop, with a barber license, it wouldn't count toward the rule. So that's where we ended up with you reviewing if you're okay with the curriculum, allowing her to test, or what you would decide regarding her hours of schooling.
How were you allowed to work in Florida as a cosmetologist with just a barber license?
Well, you know, that's interesting. In Florida, barbers could work under a cosmetologist, and cosmetologists could also work under a licensed barber in their shops. I do not know at the time, I never owned a shop, but I don't know if they had to apply for both barber license or cosmetology license to be able to manage. I rented space, so, I mean, I was at that type of salon where I rented my own space and ran my own business. And, sorry. I also taught school 5 years prior, middle school. My goal is just to build a good team, hire assistants, hire managers, and then go to the next store and work with the same group, building up a team and building up the Supercuts name in the area. And I do want to say I appreciate the Tennessee State Barber and Board You guys have been amazing, just contact-wise. I've never been able to get in touch with the people in Florida at the State Department except through mail and paying. Your team here is amazing, so thank you for that.
We appreciate
Thank you.
them. Any more discussion? Any questions? You are a first for us.
So, do you, I
I'm
have a
always the
question.
unique one.
So you need your Tennessee cosmetology license to do what you're wanting to do?
Apparently so. I was planning to just manage the shops under my license, and I am applying for shop manager and, a barber shop license and a cosmetology shop license. It had been brought to my attention that I had to have a cosmetology license to manage cosmetologists, which was new for me.
Right. So she would be fine managing the barber license on that shop, but if it's a duly licensed shop, a manager needs to be there that has the cosmetology license.
But as far as the duties you have outlined that you would be performing, you don't have to have a license to do that. You have to have the license if you're going to manage the shop, but you don't have to have a license to do hiring or recruiting.
That is correct. But I would like to manage, because I would like to build that special team, and I'd like to be able to hire from both barbers and cosmetologists, because I think, 70% of our clientele is men. So the majority of them, I'm trying to get more women to come in with coloring. I did mostly highlighting and coloring and haircuts in Tampa, Florida. That was my specialty. And I had about 50% males, and I did color as well on them, and razor cutting, and neck shaves.
So you're planning on going back physically to work behind the
Absolutely.
chair?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. Yes, I plan to work in the shop along with a stylist and perform the same duties, and then move to open the next salon.
And you worked 17 years in a salon?
Yes, I have worked 17 years in several salons in Tampa, Florida. I lived there for 49 years. I'm old. I'm teasing.
We won't add up how many years are up here.
I'd like to apologize to Kelly. I asked her to sign in. I thought she was a nice little stylist coming in here as well. I said, "You're a board member, aren't you?" And she said, "Yes." I said, I was just trying to be helpful.
You just wanted to kind of sink down.
I did. I just wanted to be helpful.
I'm trying to process this with my limited abilities, and so if you, for example, were short some hours that we require in Tennessee, but you had your cosmetology license, and if we felt for some reason you needed to take the Tennessee cosmetology exam, we would certainly say that's what we suggest. But coming with a barber's license and then letting you test for something that you don't have all the hours for and don't have a previous license for, I'm just not real. I'm not there yet. Sorry.
Do you have any
Okay.
input on it, Mr. Herndon?
Well, I don't see this as a reciprocity
Lean,
issue.
lean close so we can hear you.
I don't really see it as a reciprocity issue. I mean, if she takes the exam, she still won't meet minimum requirements without the hours.
How many of the cosmetology hours, the hours from Florida for cosmetology, how many is it a breakdown? I don't see a breakdown of how many of these were actually cosmetology licensed. I mean, hours, the total.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go
That's okay. The total, it does not break them down. The explanation that Ms. Stellings gave me, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, is that they didn't really separate the two curriculums back then, at least in Florida. You could almost be duly licensed. You went to school and you could kind of practice and do both. That's not the way the transcripts come now from Florida when we request them. But based on the letter from the school and the limited transcript, if you will, some of the classes, obviously, just like in our own curriculum, could apply toward cosmetology, and they also could apply toward barber. So there is no separate transcript with 1,500 hours for cosmetology, or even the additional 750 for cosmetology. So as Rob points out, that is one of the things that you're looking at, that the hours aren't all there for cosmetology. And in Florida, again, if they allowed her to do it that way back then, that doesn't mean that that's going to meet your requirements. But that's the only curriculum that she's got, or transcript that she's got of hours right now.
How many, I can't remember, how many, in Tennessee, how many barber hours transfer?
750.
750?
Half of your curriculum transfers from that license type to cosmetology.
Yeah. I'm not in the field of cosmetology. I'm an educator, and so I'm thinking like, I'm just thinking this way. If I were certified to teach elementary school, and then I decided I wanted to teach high school, I couldn't go just take an exam and do that, you know. So that's why I'm thinking this is a stretch. I mean, I don't blame you for asking, but.
If I could, I'd like to explain. I don't know if you got
Lean
the
forward.
letter from the Sun State Academy. I'm sorry.
Lean forward.
Oh, I'm sorry. The letter from the Sun State Academy. In Florida, it's $1,500 for a cosmetologist. 300 of those hours are nails, and I did 1,200 for the barber stylist, and I just didn't do the 300. At least back then when I took the course, they did a barber styling license back then. So I would get all the experience except for I would also get the expertise of clippering, but I can completely understand what you're saying.
I owned a salon in Florida in 1995, and just to make it clear that the licenses for the salons were completely separate from barbering.
Well, back to my question, what I was getting at, in the past, we have had people who were short of hours, and we recommended that they go back to a school and complete the hours that they were lacking, and then they could take the test. So that's why I was asking about what number of these hours were actually COS hours.
Right. Yeah, it's not broken down at all. So at best, if that's the case, we could honor it like we do here, where 750 barber hours are honored and moved over to cosmetology, and you'd be short 750 if that's the route that the board wants to go.
Well, I don't. She's not asking for Plan B or anything, but she's asking for She wants to be able to take the test for cosmetology in Tennessee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I just don't feel comfortable with that. I'm going to make a motion that we deny her request.
I second.
Sorry.
I made a motion that we deny her request, and Rufus seconded it.
Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Mr. Herford, that we deny the request. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Now, let's give her some options.
Based on her current master barber license in Tennessee, your other option would be either, you could decide the number of hours, but automatically 750 of those hours could be treated as cosmetology without any problem. She'd be short 750. Or if you review the curriculum and you think a different number needs to be given, then that's fine as well. But she would have to finish those hours and then automatically apply the right, give us the right application to test through the school.
Is it possible, so it's possible for her to have more than the 750 if you go through the curriculum? Would you all do that?
The problem we've got is there is no good transcript from the school. What you've got in front of you is all the school was able to provide. It is on starting page 74. The letter from the school is on page 73 that kind of explains that, this is all they have from 1995. Like I said, 750 would not be a problem to move over. If you want to review the curriculum and the information that she's got on the next page, and think that more of that than usual is barber and want her to complete less than the 750, that would be up to the board to review. But this is as good as the transcript's going to get. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
There
I
is no
tried
other
as best
transfer.
I could. I even applied to the state of Florida in their continuing education area, and they had nothing either. So this is where we have ended. And, you know, I would also, my 5 years, I believe, of my tax returns from 2012 backwards, 5 years of all my experience of working, everything that I did. And I was listed as a hairstylist on my tax returns.
Madam Chairman, we would have no problem if we had a cosmetology license involved somewhere. Or just look what cosmetology school cost. And now a barber could come over and say, I want to test. You know, and we'd have to offer them, give them the $750 credit toward you being legal in Tennessee. I think everybody understands that.
Do you currently have a Tennessee barber license?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
with me.
I thought so. But just with the documents that we are provided with, I think we have to be safe and say you can transfer 750 hours to the cosmetology curriculum, but then you're short 750 hours, need to go back to school, and then you can take the test. That's my suggestion. Unless somebody has a better option for her, that's all I know to offer you.
Also work in a salon that has two licensed like you're going to open, cosmetology and barber. So you're still licensed as a barber.
Yes, ma'am.
And
She
if you
wants to
open a
manage
salon,
both sides of the salon.
That's
the
my
problem.
goal, is to manage both sides of the salon, since we don't do nails, and I've done everything, and my tax returns show that. And I've never worked in a barber shop, but I completely understand, and I would be happy to do whatever the board recommends.
we wish you luck on that and temporarily hire you a cosmetologist to manage the cosmetology portion.
Great idea.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
your time.
Thank you.
Could I just make sure that as an option, we have suggested also that we are allowing her to bring over 750 hours from her barber license, and she needs to complete 750 hours in cosmetology to be licensed as a cosmetologist. Is that correct? Could we get a motion on that as well?
That's what the law is.
That's-
That is
That's the
exactly
law.
correct, yes, yes.
Okay. We'll make a motion that she gets 750, I can't make a
No, you
motion.
can't.
Do it for me.
Nana?
I'll make a motion that we suggest that she needs to take the 750 additional hours for cosmetology, and then she can test for a cosmetology license in the state of Tennessee.
So we're accepting 750 hours for her barber.
750 hours are transferred from her barber license
Okay.
by law. in
Second?
Tennessee.
Second by Ms. Murray.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to repeat it. We heard it, I'm sure. We're going to give her 750 barber hours. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are on page 77, next on your iPads. Ms. Sonia Correa Camacho was presented to the board at the March 3rd, 2014 meeting, requesting reciprocity as an esthetician license from Florida. At that time, we had part of her information received. We had the online verification of her records. We also had 940 hours presented that she received, and her statement that she had tested. The board voted to approve her reciprocity application. On March 25th, the Florida certification reached our office, and it stated that Ms. Correa had never taken the state board examination. Communication between Ms. Correa in Florida and the director of the board concluded that she took exams for her medical board, not the cosmetology. And so given that information, we never sent her out the letter saying that she was approved. So I would like you to review her information and see what the decision is today, given that. I'm requesting that the board take a look at it, and in fact, the licenses for what is called a facial specialist requires only 260 hours. We do have information that she completed the 940. An email from Florida confirms that that's, you know, the records that they've got from the schooling, but again, they only certify the 260, and more importantly, she never took the state board. So given that information, we need a motion for her to either take the Tennessee application or still be approved, but I want it you to reconsider this because with the certification, now we know different information.
Which license is she requesting? Esthetician?
Esthetician, that's correct. Her curriculum, when we looked at it, had a lot of work experience, but is, again, because she's got a medical license of some sort, she's got, experience in both fields, so it's hard to separate one job from the other. But again, based on our reciprocity, we require that an exam be taken somewhere, and they don't do that in Florida for this type of license.
Madam Chairman, I make the motion that she take the Tennessee esthetician exam.
I second that.
Motion made by Ms. Smith and seconded by Ms. McAllister that she sit for the Tennessee esthetician exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Thank you. Next on your iPads is Kristen Cruz. Her situation is fairly similar. She has an esthetician license in Florida. Certification shows initial licensure in October 2005 with 260 hours and no state board examination. Ms. Cruz has also provided 2 letters of work history going back to 2008 through October of 2012. So she does have the work history. I will let you decide if you accept it or want her to take the exam as well.
Well, this is very similar to the one prior to.
Make the motion to take the Tennessee exam.
I second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Murray, that she sit for the Tennessee esthetician exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next is Ms. Ann Edwards. Ms. Edwards is requesting permission from the board to take the Tennessee examination. The board office received reciprocity application from her in February. She is currently certified in Texas and is requesting, due to the delay with the reciprocity process with Texas, that we review her information and allow her to test, which is the information we're going to now give to all 79 of the applicants. She is in that pile, but contacted me and is ready to take the exam as soon as we approve her, if possible, today.
I think that's automatic, because we made that motion.
Right, right. We will send her the letter, and I will contact her as soon as we leave this meeting, letting her know that that was approved for all of them, and that would have included her. Next on your iPads is an application for reciprocity of a cosmetology license from Pennsylvania for Monica Barbado. Certification shows initial licensure in May 2007. Pennsylvania requires 1,250 hours of traditional schooling, and Ms. Barbado completed an apprentice program for the additional 500 hours. The recommendation is that the applicant be approved for reciprocal license.
So so they had 1,250 and then apprentice for the other 500?
That's correct. Pennsylvania allows that break.
Okay.
Did they take an exam?
Yes, they test, but she doesn't have all of it in the traditional.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Coppinger, that we approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Georgia for Jennifer Benton Israel. Certification shows initial licensure in June 2003 with 3,000 apprentice hours. Certification from Ohio by Reciprocity with initial license date of April 2010 and managing cosmetology exam having been administered. The recommendation is that the applicant be approved for reciprocal license.
Discussion or motion?
Make the motion to approve.
Second that.
You second, I'm sorry. Okay. Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Barger, that we accept. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for Reciprocity of Cosmetology license from Pennsylvania for Jesse Bush. Certification shows initial licensure in May 2011 with 1,250 hours of traditional schooling. Two separate letters regarding work history are provided going back to 2011. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
I make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we accept the recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Next is application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from Macedonia for Aneta Burha. Provided is a notarized and translated document stating Ms. Burha obtained a degree as a hairdresser in 2001, completing the necessary school and employment information is provided from 2002 through 2009. Licensing regulations are completely different in Macedonia. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we concur with the recommendation.
Motion's made by Mr. Hereford, seconded by Ms. Walker Ali, that we concur with the recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of a cosmetology license from Pennsylvania for Lydia Bush. Certification shows initial licensure in June of 2011 with 1,250 hours. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion, she takes the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Barger, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of manicurist license for Thang Chu from California. Mr. Chu was previously presented to the board at the November 4th, 2013 meeting and asked to provide work history from 2008 through 2012. The information about the shops he worked at were able to be verified online. It states employment starting October 2003. Certification from California is active with an initial licensure in 2001. The recommendation is that he be approved for reciprocity.
I make the motion that he's approved for reciprocity.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Murray and seconded by Ms. McAllister that we grant reciprocity. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from Mexico for Laura Cortez. Ms. Cortez was previously presented to the board at the February 3rd, 2014 meeting and required to take the Tennessee examination. She has presented a letter of employment from Salon de Dalton, Georgia, between 2007 through 2014. However, no license from Georgia has been provided. The recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we approve the recommendation, sit for the exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist education from Dominican Republic for Neva Diaz. Translated notarized documents state cosmetology courses were completed in October 2011 with 1,450 hours obtained. Also provided is a letter of work history for 1 year. Again, the licensing in that is different there, so the recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion, she take the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Barger, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Florida for Jessica Doris. Certification reflects 1,200 hours. Licensure by examination and initial date of June 2011. The recommendation is that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion that we, that she take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Mr. Hereford, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from North Carolina for Rebecca Due. Certification reflects 1,205 hours. Licensure by examination and initial date of August 2013. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion that she take the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Barger, seconded by Ms. Murray, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology license from Puerto Rico for Carmen Gonzalez. Verification of the Puerto Rico, with the Puerto Rico Department of State's website lists license number 19651 belonging to 3 different individuals and 3 different agencies, none of them being Ms. Gonzalez. Documentation provided therefore cannot be confirmed. The recommendation is that the applicant be denied reciprocity until they are able to provide proper documentation with an active license.
Very good recommendation. Can we also fine them?
I make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Coventer, seconded by Ms. Smith, that we approve the recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license from California for Hang Nguyen Hui. Certification reflects licensure by examination and initial date of August 2011. Hours required and completed are 400. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion, he takes the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Barger, that they sit for the exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from Alabama for Alicia Jones. Certification reflects 1,200 hours. Licensure by examination and initial date of November 2005. Provided is a letter from shops confirming employment in the industry between 2006 and 2013. The recommendation is that the applicant be approved for reciprocity.
Make the motion to approve reciprocity.
Motion's been made by Ms. Barger. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Murray. To accept reciprocity. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetology education from Dominican Republic for Esther Marshall. Transcript provided shows 1,500 cosmetology hours received in 1999. Also provided is a letter of work history starting in 1999 through 2004. Again, licensing is done differently there. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
I make a motion that the applicant take the examination.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Murray, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that they take the examination. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist education from Mexico for Griselda Morentes Rizo. Transcript provided shows grades in the field of cosmetology and paperwork states 1,700 hours obtained in 2001. Also provided is a letter of license information on a shop by Ms. Morentes Rizo between the years of 2002 and 2010. Licensing regulations, again, are completely different in Mexico. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion to take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister and seconded by Ms. Barger that she take the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of esthetician license from Florida for April Merrill. Certification reflects 260 hours. Initial date of licensure in April 2006 and no state examination being given. Communication with Ms. Merrill took place by email, but no work history has been provided. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion to take the Tennessee exam.
I second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Mr. Herford. She take the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license from Arkansas for Fueng Hong Nguyen. Certification reflects licensure by examination. An initial date of May 2013. Transcript provided from California shows 400 hours completed. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
I'll make the motion that the applicant take the examination.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Barger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that they sit for the exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Ads, we are on page 167, and appearing before the board, we have here Ms. Sherry O'Hara Bennett. Could get you to come up. In case you have any questions, the application for reciprocity of esthetician license from Florida for Ms. Sherry O'Hara Bennett is presented before you. Certification reflects no examination was given. An initial license date of November 2005 with 260 hours. Additional certification for electrologist license is also provided. Several documents support years of experience in the industry, owning a shop, a med spa, and continued education provider as well. She's appearing before the board to answer any questions you might have, as she is requesting reciprocity.
May I say thank you as well for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I will say the same thing, being from Florida, getting a hold of you guys is so much easier than Florida. So thank you for that as well. I'd like to state a couple of things that might have been missed, and that I've given some late information to Ms. Roxana there. She's been very pleasant and helpful with us through this whole process. We also owned two schools that trained both electrologists and facial specialists for the state of Florida since 2007 until 2012, when we sold those businesses and moved here to Tennessee. So during that time, not only were we providing services, but we were also training many students, hundreds of students, the process of being able to do those services in the state of Florida. We many times were part of the programs that come through, the shows that come through to educate students about different new services, new products, things like that, where we'd actually go and teach those programs as well, at no cost, to actually be part of the community itself to support that. So,
You don't have a license, ma'am.
sorry,
You don't have a license?
I do not have a license. No, I still have my license in Florida. I do not have one here. I did take a state board for electrolysis, and I took 3 international exams as well for the electrolysis side of things. I think the thing that's somewhat, obviously Florida does lack that state board for skincare. However, for the electrology, there is many things that do overlap in that program. There are many components of the programs that do overlap. So having had those state boards and several international state boards as well, I also, through the process, because of the schools that we owned, we began our accreditation process for those schools very early on. Through that process, recognizing having a bachelor's degree in education was fairly important. And so I began my process of getting that done in 2009. And in 2009 through, I think, 2013, I completed my program in 2013, getting the Bachelor of Education in actually adult education and industry training, which is what we were doing and we were striving to get through our accreditation. We just chose to move from Florida to here for our children, for a better education. That was really our biggest concern, to get up into Tennessee area. So that's why we sold our schools and our business and moved here.
We like the compliment you just gave Tennessee.
I have to tell you, it's the best move I have ever made. My kids love it here, so I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, your husband is not a licensed a licensed esthetician.
He is licensed in Florida. He's
He
not
is?
licensed here. Yes.
You're requesting reciprocity for
Esthetician. Yes,
but-
ma'am.
But you have a license in electrology?
Electrology. I'll be doing that one as well. We were taking this step by step. We had some health issues with one of our family members as well last year, and it was important for us to support that for the process. So we decided to take step by step here. We'll be going for that as well.
So why do you think you should be given reciprocity for esthetician?
Well, not only for the hours that we had, but I also, the electrolysis side of things, but I also own schools training skincare as well. We had 2 schools where I was the main person to develop curriculum as well as to provide the students with training. So I feel that there's been quite a bit of knowledge gained through that. Now, additionally, Florida requires continuing education that for both skincare and electrolysis, of both of those together, about 36 to 40 hours per every 2-year program, or every 2 years that you've been licensed. I've been licensed in both since 2005, so almost 10 years at this point. So those hours I'm hoping would also go towards that process, but certainly understanding the state board was a concern, which is why I provided the electrolysis side of things, understanding that at state board, the information is somewhat similar between skincare and electrolysis. A lot of the bacteriology, sanitation, understanding the skin, understanding how hair, all that good stuff. It's really somewhat similar. So,
Well, at the risk of sounding like a smart aleck, there's probably overlapping curriculum for a cardiologist and a proctologist, but I don't want a proctologist doing my open heart surgery.
I totally understand that, and I would agree with that too.
Now, she does have the license for facial specialists. So we've looked at several earlier today that have the Florida 260 hours and recommended on all of them that they test. She's presented and wanted to speak before the board, explaining that her other experience in the other areas might, if you approve, balance the hours that she's missing, because that particular license in Florida only requires the 260 hours versus our 750.
But in the past, when this similar situation, we always requested it, that they take the exam.
We have. Now, no one has had the additional experience, if you will, or credentials that she has. I do have the paperwork she brought in today. I'll be happy to pass around. This includes the Bachelor of Science that she mentioned. But again, the electrolysis isn't something we license in the cosmetology industry. So I've
And that's
explained that.
understandable. I know some states do consider them as paired, so that's why I brought that up. But I feel that the experience I've had with training skincare, as well as being part of that community I think should hopefully bear some weight in that.
Well, I feel pretty confident. If you're that confident, then you can pass our state exam and for esthetician. And if so, then you can be licensed in the state of Tennessee. So I make a motion that she take the Tennessee esthetician exam.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Coopinger, seconded by Ms. Murray, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Good luck.
Thanks.
Did the lights just blink?
Yeah, they did.
I thought maybe my head was something wrong.
Where am I? Okay. Next, we have an application for Reciprocity of Natural Hair Styling Education from Nigeria for Ruth Osoro. Letter from Ms. Osoro states she completed 6,000 hours in African hair braiding.
Ooh.
I will let you review both and then make your own decision.
Discussion or motion?
What is she requesting here?
Her application is for reciprocity. However, she does not have a license. Therefore, she doesn't really qualify for what the statute allows us to give her for reciprocity. So you have in front of you for review her letter stating the hours she has. And we can do a letter asking for more information, telling her she'd have to pass the examination. With all of our previous international applicants today and at other meetings, we've recommended that they take the Tennessee examination.
Madam Chairman, that would be my recommendation, that you take the Tennessee exam.
Second that.
That's a motion.
Motion's made by Mr. Herford, seconded by Ms. Smith, that she sit for the Tennessee Natural Hairstyling exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Thank you. Next is an application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from North Carolina for Cynthia Place. Certification reflects licensure by examination an initial date of January 1977. Only 1,200 hours are certified by the state of Tennessee. That is all that they require. Ms. Place listed that she completed 1,800 hours. She had a Tennessee license between October 2000 and November 2007 when it went invalid due to non-renewal. Presented for you is all her information. Her previous license issued in Tennessee, unfortunately, just again reflected the 1,200 hours. So I have no proof of the 1,800 hours. We can request that she provide work history one more time and send another letter, or whatever the board would like.
Sorry, what did you say her work experience was, or did you?
Has not provided her work experience.
I would make a motion then, Madam Chairman, that she does provide her work experience, and then we'll make a decision.
I second that.
Motion's made by Mr. Herford, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that she provide more work history. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of esthetician instructor license from Pennsylvania for Janet Randall. Certification of esthetician license is by examination. Initial date of licensure is January 2007, and Pennsylvania requires 300 hours. Ms. Randall stated that she completed 1,050 hours received, but no transcript has been provided. Certification for esthetician instructor license from Pennsylvania is also by examination. That was issued in April 2011 with 500 hours required. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination for the esthetician license, and after getting that license, she could reapply for the instructor license, given that that's 500 hours.
I hear a motion.
Make the motion she tests for the esthetician license.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Murray, that she sit for the Tennessee esthetician license. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Then she can apply for the teacher's instructor.
Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from Florida for Sergio Alberto Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez was previously presented to the board at the November 5th, 2013 meeting and required to take the Tennessee examination. He completed 1,000 hours and obtained his license in August 2011. This is all in Florida. He has provided a letter of employment with immediate work experience in the industry starting when he received his license and had worked there for a while he was going to school. The letter, Mr. Rodriguez, in the letter he explains all his work history, and I'll let you review it for your recommendation or your decision.
See that letter.
It is on page 188. And the next one would be from the salon.
What's the recommendation?
I did not make one. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and when that's the case, I feel it's better for you to have all the material and decide which route you want to go.
So it looks like he said he passed the theory portion of the Tennessee exam.
I wonder why he did not go ahead with,
He's not been, is that on his letter?
That's on
Is
his
that what you're
letter.
picturing?
He
188.
says on the 27th of March.
And again, because we gave him permission in November to test, I think he's just struggling and wanting to be resubmitted because he's ready to work. He mentions in his letter that he's got children. This is kind of a profession he's always wanted to do and has done it, finally at this point. But yes, he's struggled with the exam.
Maybe he did take the exam.
Yes, in November when we allowed him afterwards, he's taken it.
So he just didn't pass the practical,
Correct.
maybe? Okay.
Correct.
oh, he did not pass.
Mm-mm, he's not ready to be licensed yet. That's why he's coming back in and requesting to be submitted and reconsidered.
The theory would be the hardest part.
So the theory portion was the only portion?
Our records don't indicate, we don't get anything from PSI if individuals don't pass it, so I couldn't tell you if he's taken it more than once and which one he's passed it, unless it's in his letter. It would be just as he's stating it. But he'd have to take both in order for us to even receive his information.
Did we give him a certain date by which he had to pass the test?
Not at all. When we recommend applicants to take the examination, they don't have a timeline with which to take it. So I think his issue's wanting to start working sooner.
And they take it as many times as they...
Yes, they can, at least the first one. Now, once they've passed the first one per PSI's rule, they've got 3 years to pass the practical then.
Well, he needs to pass the
Continue.
whole test. I make a motion that he try again.
I second that motion.
Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Mr. Herford that he try again. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Our letter will basically say that the decision is the same as it was in November, that he's to take and pass both Tennessee examinations. Thank you. Application for reciprocity of cosmetologist, education from El Salvador for Roxana Rodriguez Flores. Letter and diploma provided show 500 hours obtained in 2001. No work history or additional hours are submitted. The recommendation would be that she take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion she take the Tennessee examination.
A second.
Motion made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Mr. Walker Ali, that she sit for the exam. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Next is application for reciprocity of cosmetologist license from Florida for Lillian Sushak. Certification reflects initial date of licensure in August 2008 by examination with 1,200 hours. California certification of active license is between 2000 and 2010, and that is also by examination. No work history has been provided. The recommendation is that the applicant provide additional work history or take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion, we go with the recommendation.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Mr. Herford, that we go with the recommendation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of manicures license from California for Tuan Nguyen Tran. Certification reflects initial date of licensure in November 2004 by examination. California requires only the 400 hours. Additional certification from Texas is provided. 2 letters regarding work history in California list employment in the industry between December 2005 and March 2010. In one of the shops, and an additional year of experience between 2012 and 2013.
Recommendation.
Given the Texas application there, I didn't make one, maybe purposely. Our two options would be to accept it. The work history is not in the previous immediate 5 years. However, there are two letters there regarding work history.
And you say 400 hours are required,
For manicuring in California, as opposed to our 600.
and he had how many?
He has the 400.
Okay.
Both letters that are there, I verified online that those shops do exist. The letters look identical, so I looked them up myself. They've got an address and a location. That is sometimes the reason I might not make a recommendation, is if I've got to keep digging it. I'll present everything that we can, and then
They're even spaced identical, the letters.
Recommendation is,
I didn't make one.
She doesn't have one.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We can't pull it out of her. We can't pull it out of her. Pick one.
I make a motion they take the Tennessee exam.
I second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Murray, that they sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Can I make a recommendation? We take a short break?
I was going to say, how many more are there?
For applications, we only have 4 more, and then we do want to introduce one of our legal counsel that's working for the board as soon as we come
Can we-
back, unless you
It's
want
11 o'clock. I think we need a little break.
Absolutely. How long would you like to break?
7 minutes. 10 to 7.
10. Let's do 10 minutes. I've got 11 o'clock. We'll take a quick 10-minute
Okay.
break. Thank you.
I was very miserable.
Because I was fixing to ask that same thing.
Thinking we'd get to the last reciprocity, and we never got there.
We'll start.
Meeting's called back to order. Everyone get your microphones ready, and we'll turn it back over to Ms. Roxanne.
Thank you. Rob, go ahead.
Before we do these last 4 briefly, I'm just going to introduce you to Adrian Chick. He's our new litigator when things go really bad with our cases. He's the one that's going to be handling that for us. But I just thought I'd go ahead and introduce him to you.
Well, it's,
Adrian, can I walk you?
I didn't get his name, did you?
Adrian something.
good morning, good to see you. Adrian Chick. Just to tell you briefly about myself, I've been at the department for about 7.5 years. I've been doing litigation for a number of different programs. Actually, funeral and burial were 2 of my biggest, so it's, I'm ready for a change.
Well,
but-
you're getting a change here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Have you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We hope you don't have to work too hard.
Okay, back to our reciprocity applications. We are on page 207. Application for reciprocity for esthetician license from Florida for Lisa Dienvo. Certification is for full specialist, which reflects an initial licensure date of October 2004, with no state examination being administered and 500 hours. No work history has been provided. Recommendations that the applicant provide work history or take the Tennessee examination.
I make a motion, we approve the recommendation.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we approve the recommendation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Application for reciprocity of manicurist license from Florida for Donna Yante. Certification of full specialist, reflects initial date of licensure in September 2012 with no state examination administered and 500 hours. The recommendations that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make the motion she take the Tennessee examination.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Ms. Barger, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Application for reciprocity of esthetician license from California for Lisa Bocher. Certification reflects licensure by examination and initial date of December 2000. California requires 600 hours, and Ms. Bocher stated she completed 750 hours but could not provide a transcript. Included are her 1099 forms for 2007 and 2008, which reflect work history in the industry, but she could only provide those 2 years. I will leave the motion for your decision.
Okay, she only has 2 years, 07 and 08. She had how many hours?
California requires 600, so that is all they will certify. Her application for reciprocity states that she has the 750, but could not provide a transcript.
She was issued her license in December 2000.
That is correct.
It's a wonder, I wish she could provide more information on W-2s.
She tried to provide letters from employers. She said the shops are no longer. She really couldn't find any that were open that she had worked for back then, and so those have been my conversations with her.
I make a motion to take the Tennessee exam.
Second.
Who seconded? Okay. Motion's made by Ms. Coppinger, seconded by Ms. Badger, that she sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
Application for reciprocity of manicurist license from Georgia for Thuong Tai New. Certification reflects licensure by reciprocity in 2008. Transcript from California reflects 602 hours, but no license is provided for California. Tax records supporting work history list a Tennessee address between 2008 and 2012. The recommendation is that the applicant take the Tennessee examination.
Make a motion that you take the Tennessee exam, please.
Second.
Motion's made by Mr. Herford, seconded by Ms. Murray, that they sit for the Tennessee exam. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carried.
That is the last of our reciprocity applications. I will turn it over to Rob for the legal report. Thank you.
All right, it's a brief 20 pages this time. Starting on 227 of your pad, just a couple of things before you'll start reading. Page 230 of your pad, the first one under consumer complaints. Under complaint history right there, it just has the notation for the previous complaint. But what happened with that is it was closed with a $250 civil penalty. I just wanted to somehow.
Are you talking,
Page 230, the first one under consumer complaints on your pad, it didn't get on there. It's just got the complaint number on there. The result of that complaint was a $250 civil penalty. Another thing is that you'll probably notice under unlicensed conduct, I've established a recommendation for a minimum $1,000 civil penalty. The time since I've been here, this is sort of something that could be considered the worst thing you can really do for us, because if you have no license, you're not under our regulation, and that to me causes the most harm to the public. I mean, you could have a license with us and just not have a very sanitary shop, but we can do something about that. But unlicensed shops are not under our regulation, and that's why I've tried to raise that recommendation somewhat. Hopefully that will be some kind of deterrent. Having said that, I can let you go ahead and start reading this.
did you say 20 pages?
Only 20 pages.
Only 20 pages.
Now, I was going to ask you if you'll, your nameplate, if you could just tilt your nameplate or something so I'll know that you finished.
Oh, I got you.
Just so I have some idea. Yeah, just turn them all around backwards or something. But just so I'll know.
Hide it now and then turn it around when we're ready. Gotcha.
Okay.
Everybody hide your name tags.
Just some tacit
Lay 'em down.
indication.
Okay,
And I'll take your questions when you're done.
okay. Mr. Herndon? We're all done. Close to me.
Okay, let's take a look at it, and I'll take questions if you have any.
I have one. No, I really have three. The very last page, 246. Just explain to me a little bit more about that particular case, please. It's case 8, ending with 1261.
Okay. These 8 cases, and I meant to tell you this before, these are all reciprocity cases that we got from Puerto Rico. We have been asking that jurisdiction for some kind of clarification. It's another Texas thing. Without going into a lot of detail, we've been asking and asking for them to do the same thing we've asked Texas to do, which done, but they have not. So we've gotten nothing from them. So our decision, sort of collectively, was to present these for revocation. I don't have any idea how they got these licenses. Perhaps when they get the settlement offer or have to go to a hearing, then maybe we'll find out some more. But I'm presenting this to you because we can't know one way or the other whether these licenses are legitimate or not, that we just remove the license.
And what is your consent order going to be?
Revocation. We have to do that by law. We have to give them a chance to settle the matter instead of going right to a hearing. But basically, if we go to a hearing, it'll be revocation too, so.
Thank you.
They can do it the easy way or the hard way.
That got me confused.
I had a question on page 232, number 4. I noticed you closed the case by lack of proof, but that's a huge complaint history. Number 4.
That one's hard to really ignore, isn't it? That, let me get to it here. Paper copy so I can make notes about what you tell me. That is a school. It has several complaints against it, but what we're having a problem with cases like this is disagreements between a student and the administration for one reason or another, which we don't have really the jurisdiction to interfere with the contractual relationship between a student and a school. We license schools and ask that they complete the minimum requirements for operating. If they do something that's downright fraudulent and are convicted of that in a court, then that would be different. But pretty much, these are all disagreements between a student and the administration. And that's why there's so many of them on here. I guess if you think about it, if every disagreement between a student and administration became a complaint, it would be many pages long of complaint history. But once again, there's nothing in the file that creates any kind of chain of evidence that I would be able to use to discipline the school for. And that's
Okay.
the foundation is there.
And then also on page 236, number 8, the cosmetology shop was open for business with an expired shop license. I thought you said you had applied $1,000 to the, if they didn't have a license. I'm just asking, should that one be 1,000?
No, I think you're correct. That's
Well,
thinking, for some reason, I was thinking that they had that they got their license and were now licensed, but they have not, so.
Yeah, there's more of those.
Okay.
237, number 9 and 10. Expired license.
Okay, number 9 is against the person. Number 10 is against.
But number 9 says an unlicensed shop.
8 is against the shop.
Number 9 says that the person was providing haircut services to a client at an unlicensed shop.
Shop in this case is not the respondent. It's the actual person.
Okay.
Yes.
Same with 10?
Yes, the respondent in 10 is also an individual. And number 8, the respondent is the actual shop. I agree. I think if we want to increase it to 1,000, that would probably be agreeable.
And one more was on page 240, number 15.
Hey, these people, it looks like they've got a current license. So that was sort of a mitigator. The other ones, it doesn't look like they do have a current license, so I think that's correct. It should be at that.
Okay.
These people are making money, and they're not supposed to be making money. They don't have a license. So let's go back over those again. I guess we'll start at number 8, correct?
Right. Page 236, number 8.
What would you like to do for this shop? $1,000 for each?
What now? What?
Violations, 62-4118, operation of the shop, they have to have a license.
I have a
And actually,
question.
the second one is not really relevant.
Excuse me, Mr. Herndon?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes,
So I guess maybe this should not be made a difference, but I just want to be clear. It looks as if some of the shops had no license at all,
Right.
and then some had a license that was just expired.
Right.
So is any difference made to that?
Not to me.
Okay.
They have no license.
Gotcha. Just being clear.
I mean, if you wanted to,
They would
Make a
have
distinction
originally had to have had a license to be
they
open.
had a little more knowledge than never having a license. Right. But in both cases, they're unlicensed. So for number 8, 1,000 instead of 500, is that?
Yeah, I would say 1,000 for number 8. Number 9 and 10, did you decide those should be 1,000 as well because of the
Yes.
expired shop license? And on page 240, number 15.
They're currently licensed.
Oh, you said that one's currently live. Okay,
So that was a mitigator.
okay. That's all I had.
Excuse me, Mr. Herndon, on page 234, closed with, up there to complaint history, closed with $1,000 civil penalty paid, license probation for 1 year, and then explain to me the case presently.
All right, this place is truly ghastly. They were cited a year ago or more. They promised that they would correct these problems. They never did. We now have current photographs of the condition of the shop, and to me, it's intolerable. And evidently, they have no intention of complying. So my recommendation is to remove their license.
I just want a little explanation on
They've
it.
been warned.
I agree. Because if they're had to take photography, that's proof.
Yes, it is. I even shared this with Adrian before I even made this recommendation, saying, what can you do with this? He has no problem with it.
So far, we have $1,000 changed on number 8 and 9 and 10. Are there any other comments or changes that anyone would like to discuss?
I have a question. Sorry. Okay, so on cases number 9 and 10 on page 237, so these cases are against a cosmetologist.
Well, they're against individuals.
They're against individuals, but we're changing their penalty to $1,000 because the salon they're working at has an expired license.
No, it's because they have no license. And
Okay.
they expired, one of them in 2010, one
Gotcha.
of them in 2013, and we don't have any idea. Well, not renewed.
Right.
Or I would have been told.
Okay, individual license. Thank you.
Any other comment or questions? If not, do I hear a motion that we accept with the changes we made, the 8, 9, and 10?
I make the motion that we accept with the changes.
Motion's been made by Mr. Herford that we accept with changes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Murray, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry. Thank you.
Next is our, the consent orders, cosmetology consent orders for the month of March totaled $10,250. I need a motion to approve those and a second, please.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Ms. Cuppinger, seconded by Ms. McAllister, that we accept $10,250 consent orders. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Thank you. Next is new business. This is items we were going to cover at the March meeting and rolled over here, so I'm excited to share these forms with you. The first thing on your iPads, we're on page 251, is the original or reinstated application form. This form is changing drastically. One of the main reasons is because our inspectors are going to be doing all their things online, so it's prompted us to change many other forms, and then as well, the school's going with the online submission of their students to PSI. So this particular form is the form that applicants that are not submitted by Tennessee schools directly to PSI for testing would have to complete. So those individuals, for example, would be those that have applied for reciprocity, but the board has said they must test. This is the form that they would complete. Applicants who have lapsed for 3 years and the statute says they must test. Again, the schools would not be submitting those for test. We would at the board office. Students that are coming from other states without a license. A lot of our states, especially neighboring states, students will go to Kentucky, finish their schooling, bring us the transcript of their schoolings, but again, we need a method with which they apply for a license. And then last would be the students who waited quite a bit to test because there's nothing in the statute that says they must test within any time period. So they finished their schooling in Tennessee but waited, and the school at that point again wouldn't submit them to PSI. It would come before the board. So pages 251, 251 is the informational piece that lists everything that they will need. 252 is the breakdown of the application for a license. So again, these are the licensees. It's chunked to where the license type is listed at the top. You have the applicant information. The second section is the education information. The third section is the questions. This is very similar to how schools submit them to PSI as well, and then their signature at the bottom. Let me know if you've got any questions. This form is no longer going to need to be notarized, nor is the shop that we'll talk about in a minute. We had the conversations with legal regarding notarizing documents. A lot of times our licensees say that delays them, that becomes a conflict. Based on our statute, we don't have to have our documents notarized. We have the habit of having them. And so it's a conversation we had. At this point with this form, it's going away. The student is certifying that all their information is true when they sign it. And again, on the instruction form, we ask that they provide social security card, driver's license for verification of age, everything that in the past we did. The forms in the past were different colors depending on what you were applying for. So this would be the only application form. It will be available online as well as in the office. And then the form itself comes to our office to review.
Ms. Roxana, do you not see that the lack of notarization could be a real problem?
Well, the notarization piece simply says that you are signing in front of me and that your signature matches some form of ID. That's all it says. You're not responsible as a notary for the content on the form. And so most places, federal court files online, and when you file electronically, that is your proof that you accepted responsibility for what you're filing. The documents you're providing here and the statement you're providing on that application is enough per legal counsel as well to say that you are providing correct and accurate information. All the notary's doing is say, I saw you sign.
They're saying you are who you
That's
are
it.
signing you are.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's never been a notary that notarized something they didn't see it signed immediately.
Right. So once you review it, please let me know if you've got any questions, things we might have missed. We'll need a motion to approve it. What happens with these forms is they go through the proper channels to make sure that they look the way the state needs it to look, that something hasn't been missed. They're given a number at the bottom. This one will need a brand new number because it's changed significantly. The retention date is also approved. And then, like I said, with this form, it will be available electronically for applicants. Those that we approve during the reciprocity process and tell them to test, this is the form that they'll be pointed to the website to get. So we won't be mailing them the form. They'll be told to complete it online and submit it with the proper documentation.
You want two different motions, one for that and one for the salon?
This one, yeah, I'm going to do separate motions for each
Okay.
of them. So this motion would be only for this application of a license.
Is there any discussion on this application? If not, do I hear a motion that we approve?
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Cuppinger, seconded by Ms. Badger, that we approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Thank you. Page 253, this form has also undergone a drastic change. This is the updated application for shops. This shows 3 steps for the applicants to follow in completing the new application or in making a change. The sections for the changes at the bottom of the form are much clearer for the applicant. They also request the former information very clearly. The new form is available, will be also available as a PDF fillable form online once approved. We will also print paper. There are always shops, as Betty can attest, that don't want to get it online, and we mail them this application. So this will be one of the few things that, if requested, we will still mail to shops. Applicants will complete the form, mail it in with the fee. So either way, in this case, they're mailing paper to us with the shop application fee. The fees are added to this form. They used to not be on there. We've given room at the top upper right-hand corner for our internal numbers. Once the fee gets here, we've listed the type of shop. And then again, numbers 1, 2, and 3 gives them the flow. The middle to bottom section breaks down the changes. We struggled with the previous forms really not being clear until now. This form as well, we've taken out the notary need. This form maybe more so than any others. Shops would sometimes run into that situation of just not being able to get it notarized. So here again, by signing it, they're attesting that the address is accurate. And keep in mind that for shops, we send an inspector anyway. They have 10 business days after we receive this form and the money to inspect the shop. So it's the inspector that would vouch for all the equipment being there, the sanitation, and so forth. And that's the point at which then they're allowed to start practicing. We release the license.
Very clear and perfect. I have a question. Do
Yes.
we always inspect a change of ownership? We do?
Yes.
Okay.
Change of location we do, change of ownership, and the change of name as well. We actually have to see the license, the fact that the manager is a cosmetology manager, if that's the shop license they're opening, and so forth, yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions, or do I hear a motion that we approve the salon application?
I move that we approve the salon.
Second.
Motion's made by Ms. Walker Ali that we approve the shop application, second by Mr. Herford. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Okay, and last on your iPads. Last on your iPads is, this is the updated school inspection form. This new revised cosmetology school inspection sheet was previously presented to the board. It was not approved at that time. It hasn't changed drastically since then, but I wanted to readdress the situation. Currently, our inspectors, when they go to the schools that they have to inspect all 83 schools, they're using the application to open to inspect a shop. It's almost the same, but has some differences that are worth noting. And so they desperately need this form approved as well. It'll be on their iPads. I think one of the issues might have been with it, just the point structure. I'm requesting that you look at it again and kind of, if we do need to tweak it, let me know. This particular form has been approved by the Barber Board. It doesn't mean that we would have to, but at this point, the breakdown and the difference in it from the previous forms that you used, and what I did earlier this morning is print out all the schools assigned to the board members that currently would have that territory, so you do have your list of schools. You have the paper version. We will also print this in paper format, and that's simply because the board members don't have an iPad to work off of, so we will be printing these. The change, you can compare this form to the paper that you have, or one of the changes is the points. It explains how many points you can take off for the different things. I find that to be helpful. So if you're a board member and run into a situation where you need to take those off, and especially for the inspector, so they're consistent. So that's a change on this form. The bottom portion is the curriculum and instruction. As you can see, that is where, if you are a board member and inspecting the school, that's really the chunk that's relevant to the documents that you're looking at. So you as a board member aren't reviewing necessarily that they've got the right number of shampoo bowls and so forth. That would be the inspector that does it, but the bottom piece would be yours. You would sign and date it and return it. We've got some board members that do have iPads of their own. They would be able to use this form electronically if they've got an iPad, so we'd be happy to provide it electronically. And please let me know if you've got any questions on the form. The plus side to this form versus the three-part copy is it's very clear. The schools will have a nice, clear-looking sheet to post once we get done. Yes. Correct. I mean, you would obviously look and make sure that the school grade sheet, that there's a posted license when you come in. I'm sure you do look at that. But the equipment, the hooded dryers, all those things, if during your inspection it's something you go through and you've been marking anyway, you definitely can use that. It's not to say that you can't, it's all there for you to use, but when the inspectors do their sanitation inspection, that's a piece that they look at as well. The auditing of the files, they don't touch at all.
Okay, as far as the grading goes?
That's correct, and you can leave it without that. You can still, the grading at the top upper right-hand corner is definitely for the inspection that the inspectors do. You're marking down here the instructors' names, file numbers. If by any chance the contracts aren't in their file, any other comments that you might have when you audit the files, you would mark on there.
And they only left spot for 4 instructors?
That was gonna be my next comment, because it's
Now they've even shortened it.
one line or run into the margins, and I understand that you took up most instances,
It's
not
more than-
large enough.
And even right now in the paper world, you were adding it under the comments, or were you having to do a separate list?
I put them, I doubled them on one line.
I've got some that I would do like Ms. Walker Ali does, but then some I had to literally get another sheet of paper and attach it because we're talking 15, 16
And
instructors.
what I would recommend, if we've got a small school and this fits, to list the 4, but I would recommend the instructor information we even do maybe on a separate list, just so that it's very legible and we can make it out and we have it on file. What we're going to do when the schools renew this year in August is we send out a letter saying what things they need to submit to us. We're going to ask for them to specifically list every instructor and the instructor's license number separately as well. So I think for the instructor piece, instead of adding the form and making it a 2-page form, I would suggest that the board members list the instructors separately so that we can always have it with that with the form itself, but have the instructor names and numbers separately so that you don't run into an issue of needing more room and
Well,
it
now,
not being legible.
Do we put points down?
Do
We
you
being
put-
the board members?
Do you put what? I'm sorry, Ms. Collins.
Points?
No, you don't do the points. Only
Okay.
the inspectors do. If you are marking off and we have issues with the student ratio and you put, no, it doesn't meet, those obviously are reasons that we maybe open a complaint in the office. You know, if the documents aren't all there, the contract for the student isn't there. In the past, we've opened complaints due to those reasons. So anytime that no is checked, we may be opening a complaint, but it doesn't take their points from the physical inspection.
Thank you.
There was, there was one school that I inspected. They had one set of records, you know, like for one of the things we have to look for in one area, another one in another area, and then none of it was combined. I was there the whole day.
You mean like the education was here, the age here?
So I had the dean of the school pulling records.
And I think during those times, you absolutely have a reason to mark records are not, you know, efficiently kept. And we open a complaint for them to comply with one set of records that is the student's full record, ready to be audited.
Now, are we talking the difference in state and federal records here, or what are we talking about?
She's talking about, like if the education was in this filing cabinet, the contract would be in this filing cabinet, their age would be in this filing cabinet. We're not talking, I know where you're coming from, Mr. Hurd.
Yeah, yeah.
But under section 1, student
Absolutely. That entire first section, you'd be looking at their hours, number of full-time students per month. I believe that's also the way that your current paperwork is, listing, you know, but I think if their files are not kept in a way that's clear that this is the full student's file, we open a complaint.
But I did that day because this is the second one that I had done. But I explained what they needed in that file.
It'll be interesting to see if you've got that school back on your list, how close to perfect, it's not, okay, I have to remember to get that name, but in any case, I think similar to what we do with shops, when we open a shop and do that first inspection, we try to educate the shop owners, the inspector tries to walk through and makes notations for the next time they come to make sure that those things have been corrected. I would see, even more so with the school, those things need to be corrected. So. Any other ideas or concerns about the inspection sheet? It will take a while for these, if we approve it today as is, to follow the steps and be printed, like I said, in paper, because we will need some for some of the board members, available online or for the iPads for all of our inspectors. They already have their lists and have started inspecting schools. As soon as it's available, they will start using this one. If we catch that something, like I said, it's not a drastic change from the paper that you have now. So I think the solution for the instructor names would be a separate list. That way you're never cramming the names and we can't read them. So if there are any other questions, please.
You could write on that, where it says to list them in that limited space,
Yes.
you could just put see attached sheet.
Absolutely.
And then put them all back there.
Absolutely. And you may on a small school be able to fit them, but I think in many of them you wouldn't.
I think, I can't remember, have we looked at a new inspection sheet for shops? Have we already looked at that in the past?
It's the previous one. Oh, have we looked at it in the past? I don't think so. I think this is the first time that we're revising the shop inspection sheet.
And so all the shop inspection sheets are done on iPads now?
They're on iPads now. Right now, we have only 2 inspectors using the iPads. On April 28th, they are all coming in to receive their iPads. And as of the 28th, all shops will be inspected with that form. And that's the form that was approved many months ago. So it's been in use since December.
Okay. Is it available online? I mean,
No.
Okay.
No.
I just thought if shops could make sure that they do a checklist,
Right.
you know, I need to make sure I'm doing this and this and this because
Exactly.
I'm going to be inspected. I just thought that might be a.
Now, what is online is for the type of shop you have. With the shop application, there is a list online that says if you have a full-service shop versus a manicure shop, what things you need to have.
Oh, okay.
So that is online.
But it doesn't tell exactly what they look for, like an
No.
inspection sheet would.
No.
I mean, I
correct.
don't think it should be a
That's
big
very good-
secret, but.
Yeah, yeah.
And also, there was a shop near me, a manicure shop, that the owners, it's a man and wife, they don't have a computer at all. And so they were concerned, and I talked to Miss Betty about the inspection sheet because they said they had been inspected, but they never received anything. And he had told them, Tim told them that he was going to mail it to them. And then they did get it just this past week. But will they still do that, continue to?
Absolutely. What we're doing currently is the inspector asks for an email address. If they don't have one, they explain why it is that an email would be beneficial. And the main reason for it is you can save that inspection sheet to your computer for tax records, for history for yourself, whatever you may need, and you can print it immediately and post it the minute we leave. At this moment, our inspectors don't have access to printers immediately. I mean, we're looking at it, so there's always, in my mind, ways things can be done better. But at this moment, if you don't have an email, nor does your spouse or whoever, and you don't want to give it to us, absolutely, the board will mail that to you. And so the inspectors at the end of the day send us basically 2 things, those that we were able to send directly to the shop and those we were not. And the board then prints envelopes and gets those out. It does delay it a little bit because by the time we do the envelope in the mail, you're adding 3 to 5 days for you to have that sheet in your hand. But if you give us that email, you have it immediately. But we understand there's shops that just aren't going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. So if we'd use the iPad electronic form to inspect a school, obviously you're not going to have do you still just do a separate sheet of paper for the
I would if you've got more instructors. You'll be able, this is fillable, not in this version that you're seeing, but you'd be able to check, make notes at the bottom. You can blow it up and type in on those 4 lines, but if you've got more instructors, I would still do see sheet attached, and then you're welcome to attach paper, absolutely.
Ms. Roxanne, one question or
Yes.
one comment. Okay, back to Rob's report. The first one under consumer report, just one word I wanted to ask you about, and I may be in the back room or what. Okay, where it's got a licensed manicure school. Is that right? Should that be shop?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding the school application form, any thoughts, other ideas? Are we okay going with this PDF fillable form for the school inspections?
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Motion's made by Ms. Smith that we accept. Second by Ms. Walker Ellie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
Okay, the last item I have, and Rob might add to this, is something for the board to consider. We have a situation about a shop that was revoked. The shop was revoked because they had a complaint. We gave them a consent order to pay for the decision that the board made on the amount. They couldn't pay for it all at once, so they arranged a payment plan. Legal approved a payment plan for their consent order and the civil penalty, and they failed to comply with that payment plan. And on the consent order, if you don't follow the dates and amounts that you need to make payments, then it becomes null and void, and the license was revoked. The shop has turned around and filled out a new application to come back in and open, get their new license. So the question before the board is, in those cases, would you like the application presented for review, or is it treated as a brand-new shop application like all others, and we follow the standard procedure?
They paid their consent order off?
Yes, they have paid the consent order off, but again, they were revoked because they didn't stick to the plan originally. So we've not had that before. So right now, they're applying again, paying the brand-new fee, but the question is, with licensees, if a licensee is revoked, we have them come before the board for you to make the decision to give them the license back. This is a shop that's applying for a new license, and the question is, in this case and any others in the future, would the board like to be presented with that application, given that the shop was revoked, or do we just issue them the new license?
Ma'am, Ms. Roxana, why
Yes.
can we not have, in a case like this, something to guarantee payment, like a bank letter of credit or whatever, that payment is guaranteed, so you can still handle this in the office or at the office?
I don't know if that would mean that after the consent order, legal would have to do an actual contract of payment. I don't know that we do it that formally, do we, for a payment plan?
Well, the consent order represents a contract. They didn't hold up their end, so that caused the revocation clause to become enacted. It's really the only way, like you say, to get them to pay, if you threaten them with revocation. Usually it works. It's always worked before. Didn't
Well,
work
why do
this
you have
time.
collateral on a bank loan?
Well, our law doesn't speak to any of ways of collecting civil penalties. It just authorizes us to assess them. Believe me, over the years I've been here, I've tried a lot of creative ways to get people to comply with their settlement offers. But
Something that you could,
on the other hand, if they agree to it, like if we put it in the consent order that this is how they're gonna do it, and they sign it and agree to it, that's what'll happen.
I might agree to something I can't do.
That usually ends in tragedy if you sign a consent order.
This is only a suggestion. I just know that it would expedite your situation.
When did they pay in full?
They just paid last week in full.
When they're wanting to
Yes.
reopen?
Yes, and they're paying in full and applying kind of at the same time to reopen.
Back to the question, she wants to know if we should have them come before the board.
Now, just keep in mind, a revoked license no longer exists. There's nothing to give back. It's not like an expired license that you can renew. So this is like a brand-new person, and the reason Roxanne is asking you is, does that make a difference to you that they have been revoked? In some boards, the statute says more than half of you have to agree for them to be able to even apply for a license again. Ours doesn't say that.
But if you've been revoked, there's reason to be revoked. And you got to make sure they're not going to repeat the same thing, because I have known
You have every right to
schools
talk to
that
them about
do the
it.
same thing every time you correct them.
You are the regulating authority, and you have every right to know what their plan of compliance might be.
Any discussion or motion on that?
Okay, so with individual license, if they are revoked, then they are required to come before the board.
That is correct. That's been,
Okay.
that's been the way we've
They're not
always,
required by
they're
the
not
law,
required,
but
right. That's been
can require it.
our history, right. And so this is a first. This is a shop,
Okay.
because normally the shop just pays the fee and
Stays
does
open.
the application, yeah.
Do I hear a motion on this?
Madam Chairman, I think I'll make a motion for them to come before the board if they're applying.
Okay. Motion's been made by
review.
Ms. Smith that they come before the board if they're reapplying after being revoked. This is a salon. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Murray. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry.
That is all that I have, Madam Chair.
I thank you. I have one thing.
Yes.
I was not here last month. I'm very sorry, and I tried to watch the video, see what I missed. Did you hand out those maps that you were going to get?
I
Oh.
did, and let me see if I've got a current one. I don't, Ms. Colley, but I can run upstairs and get you one.
Okay.
Yeah?
Is there any other business to come before the board? If not, do I hear a motion that we adjourn?
Make the motion, we adjourn.
Ma'am?
A second.
Motion's made by Ms. McAllister, seconded by Mr. Herford, that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes carry, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah, she gave us the maps.
Good. I won't even want.
Yeah, I like that too. Just see, it makes it easier to see.
I mean, all of these are